Hi, I'm Shannon Snaden, and I'm co-founder of 8-Bit Cortex. So 8-Bit Cortex is a combination of looking at trying to combine video games and a more fun way of doing things with neuroscience. There's been some mental health challenges in family and friends throughout the pandemic, and I'm really motivated by trying to find ways to improve their situations by making sure that they have access to ways to do wellness assessments that aren't expensive and that are accessible from wherever they may happen to be. As well, I can relate to the challenges of workers who are getting burnt out. I burnt out from my first corporate job in my early 20s, and when I went to study to do my MBA, I realized that most of my other classmates had had at least one of these experiences throughout their early career, and I wanted to find a way to prevent this for others. As well, I'd gained experience through my MBA internship at WestJet, which introduced me to the world of health and safety and the cost of employee injuries. So in this picture, we're actually in the baggage hold of an airplane, and we're trying to find a way to design the baggage hold in a different way to make it safer for employees to work. And through that internship, I learned that there's not only physical injuries that are commonly happening, but also mental injuries. And those are just as important to prevent in the workplace. In the early days of the pandemic, we came together to try and find a way to improve the mental health outcomes, make it a safer workplace. We knew that at the end of each pandemic, you'll have another wave, and that's your mental health crisis. When my co-founder was doing his early research as a clinical psychologist, he would give assessments to patients, and they hated them. They didn't really want to fill them out, which would reduce the ability for him to treat the patients. So I wanted to find something that's enjoyable to do so that we can get to that end result of having people feel better and not burn out. What else was important to us was having something that's freely available to the public while also having premium paid versions for businesses who want additional analytics. So these are some early mock-ups of our art. So we started with an idea that you're at the top of a mountain away from civilization, and you're working your way down the mountain and visiting these wellness huts and getting some advice each step of the way. And that as you're making your way down the mountain, that sledding action is actually a video game that's measuring your cognition. So if you think back to old style video games, like a 2D side scroller, that was the idea of our initial game. And we were focused on how can we prevent burnout for busy professional women. So the type of people who know that if they just keep pushing, they can get to the next goal just a little bit further. But these are also people who are at high risk of burning out. Sometimes you don't realize you've already hit that wall and you're past the wall and you're well on your way into burnout. Our idea is that we're measuring cognition changes over time. And we have a unique algorithm that is based on my co-founder's PhD research. And we really want to reduce the pain of current assessments and make it a lot more accessible, that kind of early stage assessment. There's currently a need for convenient burnout assessments that you can do anytime, anywhere. So we wanted to make it something that you don't have to drive into a therapist's office to do. This can be a supplement or maybe the step before you decide to go for counseling. And the way that employers are using this is like a check-in for the employee, a confidential way that they can access and see, have you hit that red light where you need to stop and reassess how you're working. Technology was critical for our development in this project. We've hit quite a few milestones, nominated as one of the top 15 new startups in 2020 by Startup Calgary. And we've received support from MIT, AWS, Alberta Innovate, and UCalgary Spark. So there's a couple lessons that we've learned along the way. And the first one was we started with a team of volunteers who were all recent graduates, and we had one graphic designer. However, it slowed us down for testing to make sure that we were on the right track. And so we have moved to simpler images until we make sure that we've got our formula right. And once we do that, we're hoping to get back to some of those higher quality graphics. So when you look at our beta test version right now, it's really simple images of just blocks and cubes moving around instead of the character sliding down the mountain. Lesson number 2 is the systems effect, where we've learned that as we have a bigger team, we have more communication challenges. Our third lesson is to fail fast and cheap. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we focused a lot on really high quality graphics. However, that slowed us down from finding the right recipe for market product fit. And so we've learned that sometimes simpler is better to try and get that instant feedback from our user groups. Lesson number 4 is that tech takes longer than you think to build. There's going to be quite a few more bugs than you could ever imagine. And our final lesson that we've learned is, as founders, you need to really mind your own mental health. It's easy to work yourself towards burnout. However, if you're completely burnt out, you can't work on your company anymore. And it's important to take time, at least have a day a week where you take care of yourself. And we've had a lot of initial interest from consulting groups and auditing groups who are using our services to do wellness workshops and use our app with their employees to help identify when they're at risk of burnout. I invite you to check out our link tree at the bottom here and level up your mental wellness strategy with us. Thank you very much.